Commencing transmission. Engaging disclaimers. Proxy chain initialized. WFTA-TV is now on the air.
Good morning. This is WFTA Television, commencing broadcast activities for today. WFTA broadcasts on YouTube. WFTA is owned by Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures. Our programming is brought to you live via the interwebs on videotape and film. We invite you to join us for another day of broadcasting on WFTA, your YouTube toy channel.
Open up that old wood chest, dive right in, it's always best to let imagination run wild. Action figures, dolls in line, building castles, worlds combine. Toys scattered everywhere. Yeah, yeah, it's a mess in there, but it's my little world. Memories in colors bright. Every single one feels right. I could stay and play all day. Air blocking car, they tell a tale. Pirate ships will set their sails. In my toy box, magic's real. Magic, pretend battles, heroes fight. Undercovers late at night. Lost in dreams where I
Initialize dampeners. Cut and defeat. Begin transmission.
This program is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
One. Carl and I will be getting started here in just a second. That'd be Gojitron. I want to shout the chat out. I am using a different way of coming in through Ninja, so my stream may look really awful. I don't know. We'll see, but it may cut out some of the lag and inconsistencies that we've had before, especially with audio issues. We could have no audio issues tonight. So, or this afternoon rather. So, one of you guys that are out there, give me a good 5x5 if you can hear me and see me well. Let me go here and shout everyone out. Johnny Sorensen came in super early and said hello to me. He was in here at 4 or 5 a.m. this morning. So, and then Shaitan's Hammer came in. We got here. George Valentine, how do you do, sir? Sean came in. One of the few times he's caught me on a Sunday show. Bjorn Jorgensen said, maybe like to everybody. Hey, Bjorn. He's going to be doing the housework and listening like a podcast. And Beta Ray Bob is here, and so is Boba Hicks. Good to see you guys, man. Happy Sunday. The Rickster is here. What's going on, Pop Actor? Good to see you. And Christina Toy Mama is here. Good to see you. And I believe that gets everybody caught up. And Boba Hicks says, sounds good, and video is okay. The video is not going to be cleared as a bell. I realize that, but yeah, it looks like you're in 240p mode. Yeah, Rickster, I'm doing that because I'm going to have a guest on, and I don't want to have a lot of those late night issues here on a Sunday show. It may clear up as we go along, but it's going to be what it is because I'm bringing my video in through Video Ninja as well. I'm not sitting here directly in OBS, and that eliminates all those audio issues. So let's bring in Gojitron. We haven't had Gojitron on the show in probably over a year. Hey, how's it going?
Good afternoon, weird, fantastic people.
How have you been doing, Crawling? It has been a good minute since we've been in.
I'm doing well. Plugging along, working most of the time, making videos the rest of the time.
And if you haven't subscribed to Gojitron, you're wrong, guys. Gojitron makes some excellent videos. He's probably one of the most knowledgeable persons that I know. I love it when he's in my chat because he can correct me when I'm wrong. He can tell me when I can't remember something, and he's there for me. And he's also one of my wrenches as well, who keeps everything going smooth. And Shaitan's Hammer is saying hello to you. Shaitan is one of my good longtime supporters. He's been here since the beginning. And as you can see, he's also a channel member. Thank you, Shaitan, for being here today. We're going to get right on into today's discussion. And it all started yesterday when someone over in the members chat, member-only chat that I have on Instagram, posted something about the, I think it was the He-Man Revelations show. And one of the first things that Kevin Smith had happen on that, if you remember Gojitron, was that He-Man was basically killed off at the very beginning of the show and stayed that way until nearly the end. And the gist of the post was that this person didn't figure that was proper to take a property like that and kill off the main character in the beginning, which prompted a discussion about evergreen properties and changing them and changing styles. Now, Goji, you said that you had already had this discussion on another channel, Universal Toy Collector or somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you posted a very interesting response to that. Can you remember or go into that just slightly here?
Right. Well, when a property gets a certain age, it's obviously going to change. The more people that work on it, the more creators that come in to bring their own ideas, it's going to change over time. You look at something like Batman, 80, 85 years, how many people have worked on Batman? There's been all different interpretations, all different iterations. But my point was, you have to know what the foundation of the character is. You have to know the foundation of the franchise. So with Batman, 8-year-old Bruce Wayne sees his parents killed in front of him, traumatizes him. He swears an oath to bring justice to the unjust, devotes his life to it. That's Batman's foundation. Then where do you go from there? Adam West, Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams, Frank Miller, Michael Keaton, Kevin Conroy. There's all types of different interpretations of Batman, but they all start in that one place. So people will accept that you are changing and making something different as long as it's coming from that same place that they're familiar with. And then you can do different things on top of that. And as far as the He-Man thing, I mean, that was really a comic book death. We've seen Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, all the comic book heroes die over the past 50 to 60 years. That was pretty much a comic book death. You hook people in with the death to shock them, and then you bring back the character and you return it to status quo. It's just a different way that writers use to shake things up temporarily, and it's usually only temporarily.
Now, as you can see by Fred Shaitan's hammer says, you can change, but you also need some consistency and a North Star. Now, if you haven't followed Shaitan's hammer, Shaitan, he posts quite frequently to his YouTube community tab. And RJ, I don't mean to stick a finger on you here, but he's been ranting here lately about the new Dune property, the movie, and the significant, in his opinion, changes to what Frank Herbert wrote in that book and what he meant to happen in that book. And that reminds me also of what's going on with Doctor Who over here on Disney Plus. We've seen two showrunners come in. First was Chris Chibnall, followed by, we thought, RTD, who was going to come in and fix everything, and he did not. He doubles down on what Chibnall started. So, in case you guys don't realize, Doctor Who is a Time Lord from the planet Gallifrey, with the ability to, if his body suffers enough damage to where it's fatal to that body, his body is able to regenerate, which turns him into a completely different looking person with almost a different personality as the brain synapses begin to heal. Am I correct there, Goji?
Right. And with Doctor Who, what they did was, for almost 60 years, we knew that the Doctor was a Time Lord from the planet Gallifrey, and that William Hartnell's Doctor was the first one for almost 60 years. That was set in stone. Then they came along and said, nope, all that's a lie. So that's what I'm talking about with foundations. They went and they cracked the foundation, and they didn't just crack it. They put dynamite in it. And longtime fans, even though we don't own the properties, we don't control the properties, we're the ones that support the properties by watching, by buying the merchandise, by investing time into these characters. And when you come along and say, nope, everything you were supporting for the past 50 years is all BS, that's when you lose the fans.
Yeah, he's talking about the timeless children or the timeless child. Basically, I'm not going to go into the whole of that storyline, but what I'm to understand from all of the rhetoric that has come out of this over the last, 6 months, ever since the Christmas special, is that this property is no longer for me as a longtime fan, and that I'm to go out and touch grass and turn the television off, because they're going to get hordes of brand new fans to come in and watch the show. Has that happened, Goji?
I don't think it has, according to the ratings. And look, no matter why they choose to do this, you can say they're pushing an agenda. You could say, woke, the overused term that, it has lost all its meaning now with all the internet discourse. However they did it, it's a poor decision from a business perspective. These properties, at the end of the day, are supposed to make money for the people making them. So if you're going into one of these properties, one of the things you want in a business is the repeat customer. The people that have been watching these properties for 30, 40, 20, whatever it's been, those are your repeat customers. You want to bring them in first with whatever changes you're making, and then get your new customers on top of that. If you go in with the intent of saying that all these people that have been watching for all these years, we don't need them anymore, that's a dumb business decision, as well as a dumb creative decision. So I don't understand the reasoning behind some of these studios and what they're doing. It's like they don't want to make the money anymore. They just want to make a point instead of making money.
Yes, and that I've wondered the same thing. What is their agenda? Because apparently making money, which used to be the agenda of all movie studios and television studios and property creators, is no longer the thing. It's like, and I'm going to use the word. They're wanting to push this woke agenda and they're not doing it subtly. Be honest, folks. If you've watched Doctor Who for as long as I have, and God knows I've watched it since the mid-70s, and I've also gone back and I've watched all of the stuff from the 60s, and that takes a true fan if you've ever watched a black and white Doctor Who episode, especially from the Hartnell era. It's all good stuff. It's just that it takes a frame of mind to watch. Now, has it always had a progressive slant to it? Well, certainly it has. And even more so when RTD took over in 2004 and started it back up, it was even more so. But at the time, the writing was very thoughtful. And this kind of stuff was not shoved in my throat. It was a consequence of a storyline, and the storyline took precedence. It wasn't like a bunch of people sitting in a room with a chart on the wall with all these points that they have to make and throwing darts. Am I correct there, Goji?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look back at the Doctor Who reboot with Chris Eccleston, you know, almost right away they brought in the character of Captain Jack Harkness. Here's an openly bisexual character played by an openly gay actor. Everybody loved him. He got his own show for 4 seasons because he was so well received. I mean, you can look back and say, oh, well, they were being woke, putting him in. But no, they were just writing a good character. And people are going to respond to a good character. They're going to respond to good writing and good storytelling, no matter what, you know, what the ethnicity or the sexuality or any of that is. You know, we can look back to the mid-1960s and say, oh, Gene Roddenberry, he was being woke, putting Uhura and Sulu on the bridge of the Enterprise back in that time, you know, but it was well received because it was well written. They were well-drawn characters. You don't think about that stuff when you're enjoying the story.
That's correct. And apparently that's not the case nowadays. It's to the point to where instead of going into a fantasy land movie that takes you out of reality and brings you into a place of enjoyment, it's reality cranked up to the level of 10, and it's not enjoyable.
Right. We need to look at these properties, you know, as they're supposed to be. They're escapism. You know, we don't want to see real world problems in the lives of superheroes or space adventure characters. We want to see, you know, fantasy. You know, and yeah, you can make diverse casts with these properties. It's always been done. Like I said, Star Trek, G.I. Joe, a real American hero, Power Rangers, the X-Men. All these properties we've loved over the years have had diverse casts. That's never been an issue. You know, so we have to look at what's going on now and just say it's not anything to do with diversity or wokeness. It has to do with poor writing. That's it. It doesn't matter what color or what sexuality the characters are. Poor writing is poor writing. Good writing is good writing. You know, I recently watched something on Netflix. It's based on an anime and a manga I never read, I never watched, called One Piece. One Piece's main cast is a diverse cast. There's not one white male in the cast, in the main 5 characters. I love that show. I watched that show 3 times through already, every episode, because it was such a well done, well written show, and I loved those characters. You know, it doesn't matter what color, what sexuality they are. Good writing is good writing, and that's it.
I agree with you. No Way Farms, good to see you, sir. I hope you had a good rest last night. Good to see you last night. And George Valentine brings up the point: we want escapism, and we just don't have that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And the message was never the issue. It's the ham-fistedness of it is what he's saying.
Right.
Sean here, and Shaitan's Hammer said. He's talking about Star Wars here. Finn would have been the better hero in the Star Wars sequels. Instead, they made him the janitor and then took him off the poster in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. Poor writing and poor ideas is what we well, the thing is, and I've got a set of talking points over here, folks, so bear with me as I bring them up and pull them over here where I can see them a little better on this other monitor. What we have here, I don't want you to get me wrong, okay? Over the years, we've had evolutions of characters. We've had classic characters change, and the change has not been bad. We're talking literature, movies, comics, and toys, okay? And they are necessary changes to bring the character forward, especially a character that's been around for a long time. Let's give you a good example would be Tarzan, okay? Can we do a Tarzan movie set in the modern times? Probably not. That would have to be something that would be a period piece now at this point. Especially considered Burroughs wrote that character back in the 1910s, I think 1912, if I'm not mistaken. And the character carried through up into the 1950s in the novels. There's been a different movie interpretation of him that's never touched the book, except for maybe one or two, and those were not quite the successes that they wanted. And there was one Filmation cartoon series that kind of got as close as they could ever get to it, and it still wasn't there. But all of that stuff is good stuff, Gojitron and chat, because it all worked. So the idea that we cannot change a character or we cannot update a character is not what our discussion today is about. It's about how can we do it and not destroy the character. Your thoughts, Goji?
Yeah, well, like I said, it takes good writing. It takes people with good ideas, and it takes understanding why the character's popular, what made it character, and like I said, the foundation. It takes something like Superman. Superman is a very specific type of character. You can't just do anything with that character. You can update it to eliminate some of the things that, wouldn't fit with modern times. Like, for an example, in recent Superman iterations, they've done away with the fact that Lois doesn't know who he is. That Lois works with Clark every day and can't figure out he's Superman. With the most current Superman cartoon, they pretty much did away with that right away. Lois knows he's Superman from the get-go. Some of the sillier aspects like that, can be updated as long as you keep the core of the character and what makes that character popular and the spirit of the character.
And in Superman's case, since you've gone that route, and I do have Superman on the thumbnail because he's a very good example. Okay, what we have is we have a character essentially who is an alien from another planet, and because of that, he has superpowers here on Earth. That's all you need to know. Mm-hmm. But you also know that his father saved him and sent him to Earth so that he wouldn't die because the planet was going to explode. He was raised by a small town farm couple in the heart of America to get those small town core values from them. And he grew up to become a reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper so that he could keep up with the news and become the superhero Superman to save people. He has a core morality about him that you cannot mess with. And if you mess with any of those things that I just outlined, it's not going to be Superman.
Right. And I've always said that he's not Superman because he's Kal-El of Krypton. He's Superman because he's Clark Kent of Kansas. Because Jonathan and Martha Kent raised him with a certain set of moral values. Help your neighbor. Don't turn away those in need. Stand up for what you believe in and what is right. And that's why he's Superman. And that's, in my opinion, that's what Zack Snyder got wrong in The Man of Steel. He got the Kents wrong. He got the way Superman was brought up wrong. When young Clark is saved the bus full of his classmates from drowning in the bus. And Jonathan Kent said, well, he was upset with them. You could have revealed yourself. And young Clark says, well, should I have let them die? And Jonathan Kent says, well, I don't know, maybe. No. Jonathan Kent would never say that. Jonathan Kent would say, no, if you have the ability to save people, you must take that responsibility and save them. That's the moral upbringing that Clark